What is going on, everybody? Hope you're having a nice Dead by Daylight. I know I sure am, and today I want to talk about slugging. Recently, Behavior is trying out some new mechanics on the PTB, some new mechanics that people are real interested in. A lot of, they're quite contentious, to put it lightly. Behavior has recently shipped to the PTB the idea of base kit anti-slugging, or basically base kit unbreakable. On the PTB currently, as it stands, as a survivor, if you're left on the floor, if you're left as a slug, you could recover, and if 45 seconds go by, you could actually just pick yourself up. It's literally just base kit unbreakable. You fill up your recovery bar, you can press a button, and your ass just gets the hell up. Pretty cool stuff. Some people are against this mechanic, some people are for it. It's definitely bringing on a lot of different opinions, and I want to talk about it today because it's what I like to do. I like to talk about this game, and personally, I am actually all for the mechanic. I really like that they're adding it, and I want to talk about why I think it's such a good thing to add in the game, some anti-slugging. And really, I want to hit 2 points here in regards to slugging. Point number one is the fact that some people think that this update or this change is happening exclusively as a nerf to nurse. I don't think this is the case. I actually think it pretty much nerfs any killer that isn't nerfed, nurse, to be honest. A good nurse, a really good nurse, with the best shit, double range, double recharge, range recharge, Starstruck Agi, the best build out there, they don't care if you can pick yourself up after 45 seconds. If they have downed a survivor, and the survivors are all within range of Starstruck, they can all be Starstruck, I'm pretty sure a really good nurse can pretty much end the game after they down the second survivor. One survivor on hook, down the second survivor, they have 45 seconds to down the next two survivors. If they're both exposed, I think the nurse can just do it. So really, I don't think nurse actually cares that much about this whole new mechanic. I think it mostly affects other killers. I do think it unfairly affects certain killers more. Oni, Myers, Plague, the twins, Onryo, if you're going for that whole strategy thing, the whole Mori strategy. But to be honest, if you're doing that, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't care. Good. I'm glad this shit's getting nerfed, because fuck that playstyle. Even as an Onryo player, I'm saying fuck that playstyle. So it's super boring, very unfun. And also, this is a great segue into more shit I want to talk about slugging, in that it's just an unfun mechanic. Coming from a gameplay standpoint, it is a pretty uninteractive mechanic for both sides, really. As in this game, I judge fun by survivor-killer interaction. Really, that's the most fun aspect of the game, is when the survivors and the killers interact with each other, when they're able to play off of each other, make plays, get in the chase, test each other's mettle. No one's sitting here and saying that doing a generator is like the most fun aspect of the game. You're just sitting there. There's not a whole lot of skill expression. Sure, you can nail like bunch of great skill checks in a row. That's cool, whatever. But it's not really a whole lot going on there. Same thing as killer. People like getting into chases. No one likes to wander around the map for a whole minute looking for like dead ass immersed survivors, and there's no one there. No one likes doing that shit. In terms of survivor killer interaction, slugging is not very interactive. I don't know if you've seen it, but it isn't. On the survivor side of things, there's really only two choices you have. Once you're slugged, you can either start recovering because you think that someone's going to come pick you up, or you start crawling because you don't think someone's going to come pick you up and you maybe want to move to a more advantageous position, or you want to move closer to your teammates, or whatever. As killer, slugging is pretty much an on and off decision. There's not really like a whole lot of thought when it comes to slugging, in my opinion. You either slug or you don't slug. I know that's really weird to word it like that or to say it like that, but it's kind of the truth. The interesting thing about slugging is kind of how time efficient it is. When you slug a survivor, you're completely removing the aspect of picking them up, taking them to the hook, which can take a couple of seconds, and having to hook them and walk somewhere else. It actually does save you a little bit of time. Granted, I will say that slugging can be a little risky. If people have perks to deal with slugging, then yes, it can quite possibly bite you in the ass, and you might not get a whole lot out of it. But in the event that people don't have perks to deal with slugging, which I often find that people don't have perks to deal with slugging anymore. Not a lot of people run Unbreakable. People don't really run Exponential. No Mither, just pick up the guy with no Mither. If you're slugging the dude with no Mither, you're asking for him to just pick himself up. And Soul Guard, a little harder to kind of get a read on Soul Guard, but again, very situational usage in Soul Guard. You have to have an active Hex up for a person to actually be able to pick themselves up with Soul Guard. So really the survivors don't have a lot of tools currently to deal with slugging. And slugging can build up a lot of pressure, actually. I've had multiple games where I was getting my absolute ass handed to me, and I just decided to start slugging someone, and it just completely turned around. It played like shit the entire game, but at the end of it, I just decided I'm going to start slugging. I'm just going to start slugging people. I'm not even going to hook people. I'm just going to continuously slug people. And I know it's going to work out because usually, like 9 out of 10 times, if I just start aggressively slugging people without even hooking them, I usually end up saving myself enough time that I can start getting more downs. I can start kicking people off of generators or not doing generators because they have to keep picking up slug people. People usually stay injured because I'm not giving them the extra time that they would usually have to heal up or whatever. Because I'm taking someone to hook, I'm just immediately downing someone, going somewhere else. Immediately downing someone, going somewhere else, immediately downing someone. And eventually that pressure starts building and building and building. And at a point, you have everyone down. And there you go. That's the game for you. That's just kind of how slugging works. And it's a little weird that it can be so snowbally. Just because of one decision. I think that's a little... To me, it's a little crazy. It's a little OD, just a little bit. Many people feel that by making such a mechanic base, this whole anti-slugging thing, that you're effectively just taking away the killer's ability to snowball. And I don't think that's true at all. Killers can snowball in many other ways that aren't slugging. You have a lot of tools in your arsenal as killer for snowballing a game. For starters, regression perks. Just some of the best snowballing perks in the game right there. Regression perks, Scourge Hook, Pop, Surge, Eruption, shit like that. Anything that regresses and slows down the game, wonderful for snowballing. People don't realize this, I feel like people don't see this. They don't, because usually when they think snowballing, they think getting a lot of downs really quickly and, getting the game rolling. But regression perks snowball. Like, the amount of time that you can save by stacking 2 regression perks together, like Pain Resonance and Eruption, over a course of a game is enough to just win you a game. I absolutely notice a difference in my games when I even just take off Surge. If I have Surge on and I take off Surge, I notice a difference in my games and kind of how tough it can be sometimes to get the ball rolling, because gens are just going way more faster than they usually would. One last thing I want to say before I wrap up my discussion here on the new mechanics is also you can't look at changes for a game in a vacuum. You can't look at just this balance patch by itself. You can't just look at it and judge it in a vacuum. You have to look at where the game is going and what has happened in the game, what has been changed in the game. Last patch, in the last couple of patches, especially when the big perk overhaul, killers have gotten a lot of love. They've received reduced speed on breaking pallets, increased hit recovery speed, the ability to more reliably regress generators without regression perks. There have been quite a few buffs handed to killers. So when you see a patch like this, you have to think about what direction the game is heading. And I understand for some people it can be very scary because, let's be real, DBD's pretty much been the same game for like ever at this point. I started playing the game late 2019, early 2020, and for the up until now, basically, the game has pretty much been exactly the same. We've gotten new content. Sure, there's sometimes a perk that shakes things up a little bit. I think the last time I can really think about, like, you know, I felt like the game was changed dramatically was when original Undying came out and we had Forever Ruin, because it changed some of the perks you ran as Survivor. It brought out perks more to hunt down totems so you could get rid of the killer's Forever Ruin. Shit like that. But this game has mostly stayed the same since release, let's be real here. So I can understand it can be a little scary that so many changes are coming in all at once that change base aspects of the game, but you know what? I'm all for it. It's been due for a while. It's time that, you know, behavior start shaking things up a little bit, and I hope they do it more frequently. So I'm down with all this shit. So remember, keep that in mind when you look at a patch like this, and don't just judge it in a vacuum. Judge it in context to the entirety of, you know, all the patches and the progress of the game. Anyways, that's my discussion on slugging. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know your opinion in the comments. As always, subscribe to the channel. It helps supports it. Like the video. It encourages me to make new content. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.